The year is 2025. Donald Trump, the former US president, finds himself back in the Oval Office. However, this time he's not in charge. He's meeting with Canadian Prime Minister Carney. The tension is palpable. Trump, known for his aggressive negotiation tactics, seems off balance. Carney, the picture of composure, exudes an air of quiet confidence. This is not a meeting of equals. This is about to be a lesson in diplomacy and a masterclass in humiliation. The meeting was supposed to be about trade. Trump, still clinging to his protectionist ideals, wanted to renegotiate trade deals. Carney, however, had a different agenda. He was there to stand his ground and defend Canada's interests. What followed was a spectacle that left the world stunned. Trump, the self-proclaimed master negotiator, was thoroughly outmaneuvered. Carney didn't raise his voice. He didn't resort to insults. He simply dismantled Trump's arguments with facts, logic, and a touch of dry wit. Trump, used to bullying his way through conversations, was left floundering. The more he talked, the deeper the hole he dug for himself. This wasn't just about trade anymore. This was personal. Carney was exposing Trump's incompetence on a global stage, and the world was watching. Carney's humiliation of Trump was a masterclass in subtle diplomacy. He didn't resort to personal attacks or grandstanding. Instead, he used Trump's own words and actions against him, exposing the absurdity of his positions. One of the most striking moments came when Trump, in a moment of utter delusion, suggested that Canada should consider becoming a US state. Carney, with a perfectly straight face, responded by comparing the suggestion to selling Buckingham Palace. The analogy was brilliant in its simplicity. It highlighted the absurdity of Trump's request while subtly reminding him of his own questionable business dealings. The message was clear: Canada was not for sale, and Trump's attempts to strong-arm them were laughable. Carney further outmaneuvered Trump by praising his relationship with Russia, stating that it had revitalized international security and NATO. This, of course, was a thinly veiled jab at Trump's well-documented history of cozying up to Vladimir Putin. The fact that Trump, in his apparent confusion, agreed with Carney's assessment only added to the humiliation. Throughout the meeting, Carney maintained a calm and collected demeanor, even as Trump grew increasingly agitated. He spoke slowly and deliberately, ensuring that every word landed with the force of a knockout punch. By the end of the meeting, it was clear who had emerged victorious. Carney had not only defended Canada's interests but had also exposed Trump for the incompetent bully that he is. Trump's humiliation was entirely self-inflicted. His incoherent economic policies, particularly his obsession with tariffs, came back to haunt him. Carney, armed with facts and figures, dismantled Trump's arguments with ease. He pointed out the damage that Trump's trade wars had inflicted on the American economy, leaving Trump speechless and flustered. Beyond economics, it was Trump's demeanor that truly sealed his fate. He appeared disengaged, confused, and out of his depth. He repeatedly interrupted Carney only to make nonsensical statements that further undermined his position. His body language screamed insecurity, a stark contrast to the confident leader he so desperately tried to portray. Trump's inability to handle even the most basic diplomatic protocols was also on full display. He arrived late for the meeting, seemed unfamiliar with the issues at hand, and failed to engage in any meaningful dialogue. His constant fidgeting and rambling monologues only reinforced the impression that he was completely out of his element. In essence, Trump's performance was a masterclass in how not to conduct international relations. He showed the world that he was incapable of engaging in reasoned debate, unwilling to listen to opposing viewpoints, and utterly clueless about the complexities of global economics. His humiliation was a direct result of his own arrogance, ignorance, and utter lack of preparation. The MSNBC newsroom was buzzing. The story was too big, too bizarre to ignore, and no one could tell it quite like Lawrence O'Donnell. "This wasn't a meeting," O'Donnell declared, his voice laced with incredulity. "This was a public execution." He described the interaction as a circus, with Carney as the ringmaster and Trump as the hapless clown. "No president has ever lost more in one conversation in the Oval Office than Donald Trump lost in these 90 seconds, O'Donnell asserted, his words echoing the sentiments of millions watching around the world. He went on to dissect Trump's every misstep, highlighting his incoherence, his ignorance, and his utter lack of composure. O'Donnell reserved particular scorn for Trump's economic pronouncements, calling them the ramblings of a man who wouldn't know a balance sheet if it hit him in the face. He pointed out the hypocrisy of Trump, a man who built his career on bankruptcies, lecturing anyone on economic policy. But it was O'Donnell's closing remarks that truly captured the essence of the situation. This wasn't just about Trump's ego, he said, his voice softening. This was about the erosion of America's standing in the world. He argued that Trump's behavior had made America a laughingstock, a cautionary tale of what happens when incompetence and arrogance are allowed to fester at the highest levels of power. From mispronouncing country names to awkward handshakes, Trump's tenure was riddled with international blunders. Each misstep further eroded the global perception of American leadership. His infamous Nambia remark, where he invented a non-existent African country, left diplomats and citizens alike scratching their heads. The Helsinki summit with Vladimir Putin was another low point. Standing next to the Russian leader, Trump publicly doubted his own intelligence agency's conclusions on election interference. This move was seen as a betrayal by many back home, and it sent shockwaves through the international community. In NATO meetings, he chastised allies over defense spending, causing rifts in long-standing relationships. His approach to diplomacy was often seen as brash and uninformed, leaving allies uncertain and adversaries emboldened. These gaffes weren't just embarrassing, they had real consequences for U.S. foreign policy and global standing. The relationship between the United States and Canada, long considered one of the strongest in the world, faced unprecedented challenges during Trump's presidency. Trade disputes, particularly over tariffs on steel and aluminum, strained the bond between the two neighbors. Trump's insistence on renegotiating NAFTA led to tense negotiations and a rebranded agreement, the USMCA, which left many in Canada feeling slighted. His public criticisms of Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau further deepened the rift. At a G7 summit, Trump called Trudeau very dishonest and weak, a statement that shocked many given the historically friendly relations between the two countries. The diplomatic frost extended beyond trade, affecting cooperation on various fronts, from environmental policies to defense strategies. The once warm relationship was now on thin ice, with both nations navigating a new, uncertain chapter in their shared history. Now, we want to hear from you. What do you think about the Trump-Carney clash? Was it a turning point in American politics or just another moment in a tumultuous presidency? How do you believe it impacted America's global standing? Share your thoughts and join the conversation. Your perspective is valuable as we continue to explore the complexities of this unprecedented era in political history.